Up next, the Metro Council votes tomorrow on the Oilers coming to Nashville. So what's Phil Bredesen doing in Waverly tonight? We'll tell you.
And while federal employees go back to work, their jobs are anything but secure. The news is next.
From the Channel 4 News, WSMV Nashville. Demetria Kaladimos and Dan Miller with the news. Rudy Kalis Sports. And Bill Hall's weather.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Scene at 10.
By this time tomorrow, it should be all over. We're talking about Metro Council's vote on a $292 million deal to bring the Houston Oilers to Nashville. And while you can't count your chickens until they're hatched, proponents of the deal do have reason to celebrate tonight. Late this afternoon, the Council's Budget and Finance Committee voted unanimously to accept the package. But many council members agree there's a lot more work to be done.
I would suspect it will be, and the closer we get to the funding mechanisms, I think then you'll have more people look more closely at it.
If the Metro Council passes the agreement tomorrow night, city leaders know it is only half the battle. That's because state legislators must still vote on a $55 million bond issue for the stadium next March. And that vote has Nashville Mayor Phil Bredesen pushing the plan in places you might not expect. Here's Dale Cardwell.
What's the mayor of Nashville doing way out in Waverly?
Hey, how you doing? Good seeing you.
You could say he's looking for investors who will help him strike oil.
I'd like to kind of sell you on the idea. We're trying to sell some of these PSLs and season tickets and those kinds of things to make this successful. And this looks like an excellent audience for that kind of a pitch. And
the group, Humphreys County's Chamber of Commerce, about 100 men and women who don't have a vote, but all know a Tennessee legislator who does.
I think most members of the legislature are just like me. They're going to wait and see how things shake out. And they're going to wait and see what their people are telling them to do.
Next March, Peach and his colleagues will vote yes or no on $55 million in state bonds to help build the stadium. So what are his constituents telling him now?
I hope that they will just look at the economics of it, that this is going to benefit all of Middle Tennessee, not only Nashville. I think it's going to be good for all of Middle Tennessee.
But I don't see any benefit really for us here in Waverly, which is 65 miles from Nashville.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it'll bring lots of people into the area, and they'll trickle on down to Humphreys County, and I just think it's a wonderful idea.
And by the reaction of the room in Waverly tonight, this is one crowd the mayor of Nashville has won. Dale Cardwell, the Channel 4 News.
People in tonight's crowd were most interested in finding out how they could acquire those permanent seat licenses in Oiler Stadium. The mayor says they'll be offered by lottery, and that will happen after the first of the year. 4 days after the arrest of Mark Allen Higgins, we still don't know what he looks like. Last Friday, the 35-year-old Higgins gave what police call a confession in 2 Green Hills, Belmead area rape cases. But tonight, Metro sex abuse detectives say it may take them a month to complete their investigation. Higgins is scheduled to have a preliminary hearing this week, but according to police and prosecutors, it will probably be postponed.
In Giles County, there is word tonight that a school bus may have had a close encounter with a CSX train the very same day a student opened fire with a rifle at Richland High School. According to railroad police officials, a CSX train crew saw the bus on the tracks in front of them, and the crossing lights were flashing. The bus was on the way to Richland High, where classes were dismissed, after senior Jamie Rouse shot and killed a teacher and student and injured a second teacher. Here in Nashville, family violence and its effects on children is the focus of a conference designed to help deal with that problem. Author and founder of the Family Research Laboratory in New Hampshire, keynote speaker Dr. Murray Strauss, told the audience respect and privacy are 2 areas families need to address.
The family members are concerned with a wide range of interests and activities of each other. There's the phrase, they're interested in the whole person. And that's what most of us want. The flip side of that, though, is that there's nothing off limits.
Dr. Strauss says that's what sparks a lot of family hassles leading to family violence. The conference continues through Wednesday.
Across the country, federal employees returned to work this morning after President Clinton agreed with the Republican plan to balance the budget in 7 years. But this is only a temporary fix, and if an agreement on all points is not reached in the next 4 weeks, Come the middle of December, a lot of people could again be off the job. Sandy Gilmore has more from Washington.
Well, good evening from Washington. The day after a deal was cut to end this showdown, there's been some dispute over just whether the president has actually agreed to balance the budget in 7 years. But if negotiations aren't reached by, a settlement isn't reached by December 15th in these negotiations, we could go through this shutdown all over again. The House moved to put the final stamp on the temporary budget truce that brings back all federal workers through December 15th. Republicans said they were thrilled they had pinned Clinton down.
I think we won. We didn't blink. We have a 7-year balanced budget.
But is that a firm 7-year commitment? The White House Chief of Staff said not quite.
We can do it 7 years or 8 years, but the important thing is protecting those priorities, and that's what we got in the agreement last night.
Presidential priorities like Medicare for the elderly, Medicaid for the poor, welfare reform, the environment, and education. The Republican cuts in their proposed budget are massive, but Democrats hope to ease the pain by limiting the GOP proposed tax cut to the middle and lower income groups. Surprisingly, House Speaker Gingrich said taxes may be negotiable.
Well, I think that has to be on the table.
Meantime, an NBC News poll shows overwhelming 71% for making smaller reductions in Medicare, even if that means taking 9 years to balance the budget. And that NBC News poll also shows Americans overwhelmingly blame Republicans for the shutdown, and there's considerably more support for Clinton and the Democrats when it comes to negotiating this budget. I'm Sandy Gilmore reporting from Washington. Back to you.
Thanks, Sandy. Republican leaders say tonight they hope to begin budget negotiations with Clinton next Monday.
Now here's a story that'll make you smile. More than 1,000 people in the Tennessee Valley have said they are willing to share the gift of life. A bone marrow drive over the weekend drew hundreds to this church in Hickson. People touched by the story of little Caitlin Cerny, an 8-month-old with a rare kind of leukemia, turned out to participate in a blood drive and possibly put their name in the registry to be a bone marrow donor. Results of a possible match won't be available until next week. Here's Bill with tonight's first look at weather.
That's good news, Dimitri. Just like our forecast in the city right now, we have a partly cloudy sky and 50 degrees, west wind 7, steady pressure, relative humidity 56%. Forecast tonight, partly cloudy, cold, low down at 35. Winds will become northwesterly later on. Some cities have already shifted and got a north wind. Tomorrow, it'll be noticeably colder under mostly sunny skies with a high of only 59 and northwest winds up to 22 miles an hour. Low Wednesday morning sunrise, a cold 27.
As long as the sun's shining, it feels better.
That's right.
Thanks.
Still to come, after years of silence, Princess Di finally talks about her failed marriage to Charles. We'll tell you what she had to say. The investigation continues into why a plane fell from the sky in California, killing 3 people. But first, have you ever thought of winning an Olympic gold medal? Up next in our special series, Olympic Dreams, we will introduce you to a Tennessean who's done it